Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to the first episode of KooS Key. Are you ready to be an ace? So, I'm gonna be your thought guide in this whole process. This isn't like one of my normal business presentations with an agenda where everything's structured and it's easy. I wish it was like that. What this is designed for, it's really designed for anyone who just feels where there's dreams or hopes or the idea where they're not quite living up to their potential and that they feel stuck and they know that a life could be more. But they're not ready to give up, nor should they. And so, what this is some bite sized pieces of information, some knowledge, experience, all designed to help you understand the why. So essentially keys to help you unlock what's stopping you, what's locking you, what is that mental block. So I really want to ask you, is there any part of you that feels stuck? Like, do you feel like you're just running from one thing to another? You're not able to get into your own head. You don't feel safe. Do you feel like sometimes your thoughts are so intrusive you just need to numb yourself out to not feel it? Or sometimes you feel like you're just pushing people away because you just don't want to be hurt? Or do you feel like you're just drawing and trying to cling from one person to another because you're having a tough time dealing with maybe some of the feelings inside? Or maybe you had a lot of tough things that have happened and you just haven't had a chance to process it. Or everything's great and, it doesn't hurt to work on ourselves, right? So, this is really kind of geared for people who believe that they can't or they won't achieve really any of their dreams, or their willpower just isn't quite there, but they just don't want it to die and they won't give up, which is a great quality because grit, that's what's going to get you there. And what I've tried to do is take some lessons and some information that I've learned over time and break it up into really bite-sized pieces. The first 5 episodes that we have planned for this year, they're all about giving you the freedom to be able to get into your own mind. Part of changing your mindset is knowing that you can change, but we have to be comfortable getting into that gray space. This journey for me, this was about 7 years, and I went to heal myself from honestly just a bunch of medical stuff that was going on, pre-diabetic, was dealing with some infertility, anxiety, depression, and trying to figure out the root cause of each one, getting down to the weeds, essentially. Through that process, there was a lot of unlearning. I really felt like I was probably the biggest self-sabotager to my own happiness. Part of it, I just didn't know. And another part of it, I was stuck to old thoughts and I couldn't let them go. It literally felt like my nature and my nurture, every part of me was just stuck. And there's this thing I learned in the process, and it's called an ACE score. It's something I recommend anyone to take. Anyone, if you've had issues when you were younger, or if you've just had, you just want to understand yourself a little bit more. But my ACE score was rather high, and I realized that I was essentially living like a cursed half-life. At this point, if I continue the path I'm on and I can't break this cycle, my hypertension was going to get worse, my pre-diabetes was going to get, diabetic. Like, I didn't want to live that. I had to figure out how was I going to break the cycle. I'm quite spiritual, so I was able to kind of find my center. Meditation is something I've done as a child. Grew up Buddhist, so it's not a religion, more of a lifestyle. Now, I've really understood a lot of religions, and I truly believe that I think all religions are right in their own way. We believe in higher power, chakras, karma, spirituality, you name it. I mean, we believe it in our own different ways. So, what this is let's take the religion out of it, because this is just about energy. This is about thought. Those are the only things I'm going to focus on, because that's the only things I can control is my own thoughts and how I react and how I respond to the things that happen to me and that I do to myself. I mean, as simple as that. So with that said, we're going to really kind of work together to kind of unstuck yourself, and I'm not sure if that's even the right word. So before I get into all of that, I think it's really understanding, our mindset, and really talking about kind of what goes into it, and kind of figure out, like, are we okay with what we're doing, or are we willing to go ahead and change it? So as I get to the next parts, I want to just kind of stop here. I'll probably go over just some basic disclosures, because I'm not a medical professional, and I want to make sure that I have everything covered, because this is more philosophy. There's a lot of my personal opinions, my perspective, from public information. None of it is specific to any religion, and even anything that is science-based is very high level. It's more of a personal human growth experience, and just to kind of make you realize maybe what you're feeling is a little bit more universal. So if you're having any extreme or overwhelming thoughts, please contact anyone of a medical professional, because this isn't that. The goal is to really love yourself and love others, not to cause any harm to yourself or anyone else. So please, if you're having any extreme compulsive thoughts impacting your general day-to-day behavior functions, that is a sign to seek any medical attention. Please do it immediately. Call your friends, call your family, call someone. These concepts are designed to help you question and understand maybe patterns in your own thoughts and feelings, and in that there might be some feelings that might accidentally come up. It's to so ensure you have a support system to help you rest, recover, and go through anything you're going through. And again, I'm not a medical expert, and neither is this advice, and this is my journey. So it's knowledge, experience, and the goal is to help you question maybe some of your own thoughts, to figure out your own conclusion to some of life's mysteries that unfortunately happens to all of us, because life is tough. So this really isn't suitable for probably young children, so parental guidance is definitely in effect. So I would definitely recommend, if you're young, ask your parents. If you don't think you're young, then still ask your parents. So again, this is best where whatever we go through moving forward, maybe listen to it with an open mind. Try to keep any judgment out of whatever you think of me and whatever you think of your own feelings and thoughts, and then talk to someone that you trust and that's not going to give you advice nor judge what you thought when you felt any of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. All right, so with that said, let's keep going. I'm really excited. This is where we talk about how and what I mean about being an ace. So it's actually not that ace score thing that I was talking about, but what it really is, it's really talking about getting to the center. For me, I felt like I was always locked. And for me to understand my center, it was crucial for me to really become
who I wanted to be because I realized it was a choice. And I was always figuring out how can I unlock myself. But realistically, I kept trying to find the center of myself. And I knew who I was at my core, and I didn't understand why sometimes I felt the way that I felt. I really felt trapped between, two forces. There was the the two animals in me. There was the part of me that just wanted to exist. I really felt like Ferdinand the Bull, big and strong, but all I wanted to do was just sit there and enjoy smelling the flowers. And I really didn't want to fight the other bulls. But realistically, no matter what I wanted to do, there was always just two forces around me that were moving, that were pushing, that were just making me do more than I wanted to do. And realistically, I more sided with the rational side of my brain, where the energy is. That's where, your brain, your heart, it's all, made of electricity and neurons. And I'm more logical. I know I'm neurodivergent. And so for me, it's really understanding how the system works, the interactions behind it. So I just understood that emotional, I'm sorry, not the emotional, the energetic aspect of of me. So I really thought, like, why are you just coming into my space and just giving me all these bombardment of wants? And then there was the other side of me, the animalistic side, that was just coming in and saying, hey, I need this, I need this, and I felt like I was always stuck mediating between the two sides. And and that's when I realized the anxiety and everything, though it was overwhelming at times. It's definitely something where I was able to get some center around, and I was able to find comfort in myself. And once I was able to finally mediate and be more the magician, kind of creating the magic between the emotional aspect and the executive function. So even though I might say emotional, I'm more talking about the animalistic part of our brain. While our executive function is typically more cold and calculated. And for me, that's not who I was either. So it was really about understanding that who I was at my core was was not who I thought I was. And so that was actually just another interesting revelation. Damn, I didn't like the end of that.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for making it past the disclaimers and all the fun stuff. So let's get back to this journey. Um, this is tough because when I look back at the 7 years from 2015 to 2022, those 7 years were really formative for me because I went on many journeys, from traveling to finishing school. And I just, nothing quite fulfilled me. I think the only thing that happened was the birth of my daughter, where I just felt a sense of purpose. And, and I really kind of reconnected with the possibility that, there's so much change and wonder in the world. And I realized that for me to want to change, I had to believe it. I had to give myself some sort of metric, and I had to just kind of get some control over my mind. And like I said, this is more of a mental journey So, let me bring up something that's really important in business because I think this is a good segue. KPI, key performance indicator. It's uh, it's really what employees, businesses. It's like the one thing that we are gold on. It's how we're tracked. It's how, and sometimes we have multiple. The divisions I've ever had to go in and change the business model or completely reassess the direction and re-change it slowly or quickly depending on the situation. A lack of personal accountability, a lack of vision from the leadership, um, no set processes, and usually dysfunction between teams that are fighting for resources. Those are the four main things that most businesses that you're going to have to really look at as you want to scale it. But realistically, for me, as I wanted to find maybe some happiness, I had to realize that just because I healed or I understood where the pain came from doesn't mean I was healed. And that was the hard part because when you look at the numbers, when you look at the things that if I was hitting the KPIs, but why wasn't the root behavior, the root emotion changing? Um, and part of me is I realized that, I was part of the problem. Um, and I really needed to set a clear vision for myself. And it was really about just trying to understanding my own pain and having to kind of stop those cycles where I was able to get into my own head and understand that I was okay. And through therapy, medicine, I mean, that whole process, I was able to unlearn. Um, and it's interesting. I use this example because I think there's a lot of, women who probably go through this where, they have a very narcissistic mother, makes it all about themselves, doesn't let children feel their feelings, and creates kind of a hell by being so selfish. And most of these women, what they end up doing is they're like, well, I'm not going to be like my mom. I'm going to be the complete opposite. But what happens in that is they are so busy being selfless that they really end up not having like any true self. And, part of that is to every yin that, there's a yang, there's truly a core that exists in each one that is from the opposite side. So I think for me, I had to realize that though there was trauma and pain, because of it, there was so much I was blocking out. And for me, I think it was all about realizing that I really needed to just understand what it was saying, where it was coming from, and just as simple as that, just understand. Um, and that's for me, I don't think I understood why certain things happen. And I'll get into, high level some of the stuff that happened. But, one thing that I truly realized in this process was no matter what, bad shit's gonna happen. Literally, no matter what we plan for, how prepared we are, things are going to happen. To be a part of human society and work with one another, there's always going to be some sort of pain. And that's normal, but I think how we perceive it can really define if it's scary or painful or if it's a lesson or if it's something that we're going to keep doing until the cycle either breaks us or we break the cycle. And it's as simple as this: to be a human, you're gonna have suffering. Like there's gonna be pain, there's gonna be things, but there's always some sort of origin or root of where that pain comes from. Um, and realistically, there is a way of getting rid of that pain. And then it's really just going towards the steps of letting it go. Um, for me, what I realized is in some of the books and some of the therapists, the process, I learned about the unconscious mind creates the reality in which it deserves. It thinks it deserves. So realistically, what that means is if you have unresolved trauma or pain or just things that you just have not dealt with, it is going to manifest in different ways. It's going to keep coming up. And if you can listen to it, accept it, embrace it, hug it, kiss it, thank it for saving you, but just say, I don't need you. As simple as that sounds, that's such a huge process of the healing. But that is super easy to say, right? So for me, I think what I had to realize is there was a lot of breadcrumbs that my body and my emotions, I guess there was a lot of breadcrumbs that my body and my mind was leaving me, and I just wasn't always willing to listen to it. Every time I felt triggered emotionally or activated mentally, I felt like there's a part of me that just wanted to save myself and find some sort of safety, that I was willing to do whatever to just feel safe. And I think that's really kind of true for most people. So with that said, now we're going to kind of move to kind of understanding and really kind of going through the journey of how I had to change my mindset, where becoming an ace or understanding what that really meant that I had a choice in the life that I was going towards. As I was trying to find my center and really become the true person I was at my core, um, I realized that my role was really to just make sure that both other sides of my personality and my brain was working together, the emotional and the executive functions. So realistically, what I realized is I had a choice in who I wanted to be as I healed. Society has told us we need to be kings or queens. And I realized that, maybe like just in poker or like some card games, where the ace can be one at the beginning of the deck and helping others start, or it can be an 11 and it can be the strongest card in the deck. But it's a choice that the ace gets to make. And realistically, I thought about that some more. I could help others and start from the foundation, go from an 11 to 1, or I could become an 11, maybe topple some corrupt queens and kings who are abusing their power. But that didn't sound fun either. So I chose, you know what? I'm going to choose the third option. I'm going to change the value and start where I want to start. So I'm going to be a 6. I'm going to be right in the middle. I'm going to help others. I'm going to inspire others. But realistically, I'll be whoever I need to be right in the center of where I'm at. I can be a 1, I could be 11, but right here at 6, I'm okay. But it was a choice. And the moment I made that choice, that I didn't want to be down the path and this is who I was, everything else just started falling into line. It's really interesting that once you have this breakthrough and your perspective just completely starts changing, And it's funny because you know, our perspective is really based on kind of our expectations of how the world should behave, how others should behave, and how you know, we're going to feel pain or react to it. And it's really, you know, simple, kind of when you look at it that way. But our perspective and our the way we look at things can change at any time. If I asked you, you know, do you want to be, would you feel safe if someone were to ever hit you or spanked you or, you know what? Most likely your answer is going to be no. Of course. Why would I want to be hurt? You know, but there's a whole subset of people out there where, with a trusted partner that they know, that they've built history with, that their partner knows the tolerance of that pain and pleasure tolerance, and there's anticipation and desire for the action, a spank or a slap in maybe the BDSM crowd, you know, like the 50 Shades of Grey type stuff, that's actually exciting. So just how you perceive it, how you desire it, and knowing that you're going to be safe by still receiving something that might be painful can become pleasurable. Hmm. You know, so I wonder what other perspectives and what other things that we've been trapped in. Because I'll be honest, for me, um, some of my pain and where it started happened so young. I really felt like sometimes my emotions and my fear, I couldn't really even tell between the two. And I wonder how many other people kind of feel the same way sometimes. Something to think about.
Let me explain when I realized how much bullshit I was telling myself. So we were talking the whole time, and I was saying how I wanted to find my center, hear the animalistic part and the logical part. But realistically, as I started understanding the brain more, I realized that 80% of our brain is actually in the rational part, in the neocortex. That's kind of the newer brain. And realistically, as I started digging through, I realized that the reptilian brain that we have, that is more just about self-preservation. It's the automatic response system. um, that's really where we're connected to insects and dinosaurs and birds. So that's what we share in the line of evolution. So realistically, that might not be the emotions. And so as I started realizing, the limbic brain or the midbrain is really where we process our emotions and our feelings. So the whole time I'm thinking about blaming the other parts of the brain. And all three make up essentially our mind. And the entire time I started my journey, I realized how much I was blaming myself. And ultimately, I was all three parts. And I had influence, I had control, and it's really about getting all three to work together. Because clearly, my emotions and my feelings, I'm overwhelmed. Um, there was the part that is scared to survive, and then there's the executive part that is just confused. So this is where I should probably open up and get into some of the things that have happened. So for me, I think the biggest thing is where I grew up in Sri Lanka. Um, I was just a sensitive child, also being very stubborn and bullheaded. It really felt like it was hard to just break my spirit and my mind. So, I mean, even teachers, they could hit, so could parents. And there was just some lessons that For my sensitive soul, I learned that I was unsafe when I was, and there was always kind of a trigger response, and my executive function felt like it wasn't safe. And then what also happened was on the automatic part, was also confused because long term it felt like, well, something's wrong. So the executive function saying you're not safe, and the animalistic part of me, the reptilian brain, is just like everything's a fire. And a lot of that started from I had a female nanny. Actually, this is a trigger moment. So if you need to turn off the video, this is a good time to turn it off. But what happened was I had a female nanny molest me as at the age of 5. And it activated and turned certain parts of me that really shouldn't have turned on for a 5-year-old. And it was just very confusing. And knowing what I know now, I realized she was also probably just a late teen, but regardless, it was inappropriate. Should have never happened, and it just confused me. So I realized now I've been trying to find my center. I want to change and I need to change, and I know what is in front of me is not what's destined for me, but now I don't know what to believe. Um, and so a lot of this whole process for me was about learning and unlearning various parts of my perspectives and how I saw the world and what I told myself and what I lied to myself just to sometimes survive. And that was one of the biggest lessons. So for you all, that's where we'll talk a little bit more as we conclude. Um, and we'll go from there. Well, that was the first time I actually said that out loud, where my parents are going to finally understand. It's something I've worked through probably almost 17 years ago, then, through various relationships, girlfriends. But for me, I think part of finally embracing it and talking about it now is one, it breaks the stigma that it only doesn't happen to women, but two, like that early age stuff messes with, you know, your mind and creates hormones and urges that really shouldn't exist. And I think about protecting children and their mindset and their safety is about kind of protecting them about certain things that just don't um, activate them or trigger them in ways later on, and it's tough. And that concept of the unconscious mind creates a reality in which it thinks it deserves has stuck with me since my entire healing process. And even learning about brakes and accelerators, that just talk about when our body's activated or triggered, and it's there's so much interesting concepts that we're really gonna talk through and go through. And but today, really the goal was just to help you realize that, one, you can change. Two, I wanted you to kind of question, is there any areas of your life that you do want to change? And the main thing I really wanted to do was go through an exercise to help you maybe understand and get into your mind through meditation and mindfulness. It's funny when they say mindful, it's kind of like Greenland and Iceland, where Greenland is full of ice and Iceland is full of green, luscious fields. And being mindful is actually having an empty mind. And so part of that is learning to slow ourselves down so that way we can enter our head. So um, the, probably the next week or two, I'll probably release another supplementary video that will go hand in hand with this,
where I'll go through a little bit more of the concepts and a little bit more of information, actual keys, along with like a guided meditation. I'm hoping maybe 20 to 30 minutes will calm your minds for about 10, clear out the day, and 20, where we're just going to try to get into your head. Remember, I talked about KPI, key performance indicator. So the goal is try to get in there and clear up everything that you are dealing with, a couple times a day for maybe 20 minutes. But I know that's really going to be tough. So the goal will be maybe the first time we can try together. And then over time, as these videos will build, the practice and access of getting there is going to get quicker and easier. And then two, you'll have more and more information. So whenever someone tries to, lock you in an old cycle, you'll be able to hopefully break it and know that um, through experience and knowledge, you can actually heal and let go of old pain. It's funny, they talk that trauma is can change your DNA, but so can experience, so can healing, and I truly believe that. So I really hope that you all enjoyed this. This was really designed around you all. So please, please, please check out the website, www.kooskey.com. Again, www.kooskey.com. Check it out. Please send me tons of your comments, feedback, along with check out our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, please like, please share this. This is the first of 5 videos. Well, now it's going to be 5 more videos since number 1 needs a little bit more content, and I think for now this is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed. Please, your feedback is valuable. This has been a solo project, so it's really been me. Um, Besides the random friends that have looked at the website, but everyone seeing this online on YouTube, you're seeing it for the first time together. So with that, I'm Kusal, KooS Matthew. So thank you so much for um, your time, and I look forward to doing this again. And let's go. We have episodes B, C, D, and E, along with one more for A. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.